Just a question out there to the audience. Maybe Jim Hewer can jump in on this if he wants. Can anybody tell me if the Cardinals, how they did today? Did they win? I know they were up 5-2, so it was looking pretty good. They must have got that thing done, right, Jim?
Oh, well, a couple things didn't go. We didn't get a call on a third strike, and
okay, yeah,
and we're short in the bullpen because Halsey's hurt, and it didn't happen.
A lot of soft contact, I guess.
Yes,
huh?
Lots of soft contact. That
a lot of balls getting through the holes, a lot of bloopers, right?
That pesky Giants lineup. They take professional at bats over there, and it's tough to deal with.
They really do, though, all kidding aside. I mean,
they do.
You talk about a contrast between two teams. These guys, we joke about these. I know I do, and you do, because you just did these baseball cliches. Oh, that's a group of professional hitters over there. But it really does apply to the Giants. This entire series, they made those Cardinals pitchers work. They wore them out. They made them throw a lot of pitches. They knew exactly what their approach should be, the game plan. Really smart staff over there. Their game plan was pretty much ideal, and they sweep the Cardinals, winning today 8-5. The Cardinals were, it's amazing that they were one strike away from winning this ball game 5-3 and ending a 4-game losing streak. And then Mike Yastrzemski hit a 2-run homer to tie it. Then the Giants went and scored 3 runs in the top of the 10th. The Cardinals couldn't get anything plated in the bottom of the 10th, and it ends 8-5 Giants. Listen, even when we acknowledge that this has just been a horrible season for the Cardinals. And by now we're very much used to this team losing. We really are. Now, that said, I must say this one was kind of a stunner. I know in some ways it's predictable because the Cardinals are bad. The Giants are playing well. The Cardinals' bullpen stinks. So I'm not saying that it was a long shot for the Giants to win, but when you're up 5-3, you got your best reliever on the mound, Gallegos, and you need one strike and it's a ball game, and that team would get a chance to actually smile about something. No. The beatdowns just go on and on and on and on, and you can pull out all the cliches. They find new ways to lose. They sure do. But this one today, even by the Cardinals' pathetically low standards in 2023, this one, I imagine this one really hurts. And even I'm sitting here saying, wow, what else can go wrong? This one's kind of a stunner, even for a bad team. So at 27-42, the Cardinals are 15 games under 500. That is the low point for the season. The previous low point was 10-24. 14 under 500, and they were 14 under 500 going into today. Now it's 27-42. This is their worst start in a season when you go through 69 games since 1978. And there's all kinds of bad numbers, but just to kind of lay it all out and in all its horror, the Cardinals have lost 5 in a row. They just concluded a 1-5 homestand. They are now 13-21 at home, which is the 27th worst home record in baseball. They have lost 7 of their last 9 at Busch. They are 6-15 since they last won a series, and they last won a series. It was against the Dodgers at home, that series that ended May the 21st. It's now June the 14th, and the Cardinals in their last 8 series, let me see if I get this straight, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, they have not won in 8 series. I know I think it's 0-6 with 2 ties, 2 splits. I think that's what it is. I'll correct that once I have a chance to double check. But the fact is, any way you slice it, they have not won a series since the third week of May. And this is now, we're approaching the third week of June. And as far as the standings go, I know the boys got all excited on Bally when, the Brewers lost again. I'm also getting to the point, like, what is the point of even mentioning the standings? Because unless these fellows start winning some games, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter how bad the National League Central stinks. Because the Cardinals stink more than anybody, and the Cardinals have a more of a hard time winning than anybody. And, when you're as bad as this team is, I mean, you can't sit here and say, well, the Central, hey, we can still do – well, I don't want to hear it anymore. You got to win games. They can't win games. They can't string anything together. And even when they have games seemingly in their pocket, where they're about to put it in their pocket or it's halfway down in their pocket, like today, it disappears. You know who's talking to me? Siri, because I'm hollering. I'm serious. I'm like, what the hell is that? It was Siri. Siri said, like, still waiting on your answer. Siri, here's my answer. The Cardinals are awful. How's that? Is that a good enough answer for you? Was that good, Jim? Was that good radio?
Very good. I like it.
Was that good, Jim? Was that good radio right there?
It was outstanding.
No, I mean, listen, man, and I'm guilty of this. Every day when I write for Scoops Danny Mac, every day when I'm on the show, well, they're 8.5 games back. Milwaukee's not playing good. Pittsburgh's been losing. Oh, well, you never. I'm going to say this to myself: shut up, because unless the Cardinals can get back to 500, really you can't take them seriously in any manner until they get to 500. Then you see where you are. But the problem with that is they're 15 feet below 500. They're deep in the water here. It's not like they're, when they went off that 11-3 run, they were 21-27, and they were 6 games under 500. You get, at that point, you're like, well, look, they're playing good and playing much better. And listen, they've been able to recover to an extent because after being 14 under 500, hey, man, they got it down to 6 under 500. Well, you can play with that. You can work with that. You can talk about it in terms of the Central and the Cardinals still having a chance. Back then you could talk about it because, when you brought that up, people wouldn't laugh at you and say, are you crazy? Because at that point it looked like they had momentum and they were headed to higher ground. But no, they're worse than ever. Because I really did not think this was possible, but when they reached 14 games under 500 after 34 games, lost 20 of their first 34, I really thought, well, this is definitely the low point. They can't get any worse than this. They can't get any lower than this. Well, they are. It happened today. And I don't know where to start because I wasn't riveted to the game. I was paying attention to it. I know that the Cardinals showed some early mettle. I mean, Jordan Montgomery gave up 2 early runs and they had the bases loaded and it looked like, this is going to be like a 5-run inning. And he locked it down. Giants only got 2. That's like a small victory in itself. And then the Cardinals, to their credit, battled back. They knocked DeSclafani out of the game, I believe, in the third, and they had a 5-2 lead. So things were looking good. But in retrospect, I forgot about a couple of obvious things. Number one, the Cardinals didn't tack on after taking that 5-2 lead. They did not tack on. You got to add runs, and they didn't. And number two, the Giants' bullpen shut them down completely in terms of runs after DeSclafani was knocked out. And you can never assume any league is safe. Well, I won't say that because, if you're up 9-1 or something, you know what I mean. But if the Giants had chipped away, they got it to 5-3. So you should never assume the victory is in the bag when it comes to the Cardinals because this bullpen is, it's a match thrown into kerosene, I mean, it's just you can't trust these guys. This is like the fifth time in during a recent stretch. This is like the fifth time they have given up a lead after the sixth inning, or after the fifth inning for sure. I mean, this has just happened in a matter of like a week or so. The bullpen's terrible. It's another area of the team that the front office, in between naps, forgot about. Oh, we don't have stinking relievers. We got JoJo Romero. We got Verhagen. I don't really understand why people say we needed to strengthen the bullpen. We really like what we have in the bullpen. Okay. How you like it now? Well, I don't know why people say we need starter pitching. We have 8 or 9 starters. Whew. My goodness. Jim, say something.
Oh, okay. I was letting you go because you're on a roll, and
yeah.
I'm right there with you on a lot of this. Look, I know you got Helsley hurt, but this is just my opinion on, and this is one aspect of 1,000 things we could talk about. Gallegos can't be a closer. He's just not a closer. He's never
been as good in high leverage as he is in other situations.
Yes.
Hey, he's a good reliever, but I hear you what you're saying. I do.
I think it's just a disservice. I've seen that breaking ball hang too many times in this situation where we need you to close the game out. You go, oh, there goes that one. Okay, maybe not so much. He's been okay. He's been good as a setup man. He's just not a closer. That's a side thing. To your point today, come on. Got to add on a little bit. You got to bring a little bit more something. Edmund steps up, and you get the grand slam after they almost collapsed right then and there. I mean, they were real close to collapsing if they didn't get any runs. They had the bases loaded and 1 out. Kisner struck out, and thank goodness Edmund got him out of a hole because they were just about ready to – you were like, oh, my goodness, how can it get any worse? Well, we found out as this game went on. But to this point, I know the Giants have been good, but their bullpen is so taxed right now. And the fact that you didn't get anything off of them, and they threw, 7 innings of relief?
Yeah.
And you got nothing? Come on.
Yeah, right. In fact, I was just looking that up while I was listening to you. After they knocked out DeSclafani, who went 3 innings, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, did strike out 7, but the Cardinals got him. I mean, Tommy Edman, that was a huge blow. It was unexpected because he's really been in a nosedive lately. I love Tommy Edman, but he hadn't been hitting much at all. I mean, for quite a while. So that was like one of those bonus things, one of those surprise moments that can, turn a game around, which it did. But the Cardinals couldn't take advantage of what Tommy Edman did. And they didn't take advantage of the fact that they knocked the Giants starting pitcher out after 3 innings. To your point, and, they could get into a bullpen that's been a Giants bullpen that's been worked really, really hard. Well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 relievers covered 7 innings. They gave up 2 hits. Well, actually, I guess you can consider it 8 innings if you – no, that's right. 3 – 7 innings, and they gave up 2 hits. 2 hits. They only walked 1. And, of course, they did not give up a run. Now, come on. I mean, seriously, you're into their bullpen in the 4th inning or after the 3rd inning, and you can't put 1 crack in them. You can't break them even just a little over the final 7 innings by scoring a run or 2. It's just you don't get more than 2 hits in the final 7 innings. Are you kidding me? You draw 1 walk in the final 7 innings?
Embarrassing.
This stuff is just this is Twilight Zone stuff, and it's also completely inept baseball. And this team is infected by losing. It's got a losing mentality, even when things are going well, like they were today. It's a situation where it's like they still aren't sure if they can put a win away. There's doubt in their mind. Losing does that. Losing makes you lose confidence in yourself, the rest of your team. Losing fills you with anxiety and doubt. and drains your confidence. And that's what the Cardinals are right now. It's a really, really sad sight to watch, and they just can't do anything at home. This was one of the great home field advantages in baseball for a very long time. Since Bill DeWitt took over as the chairman, his ownership group in 1996, the Cardinals, before this year, only had 2 losing records at home, 2 out of 27. 2 losing records at home in 27 years. This team is probably going to end up with the worst home record since Bill DeWitt bought the franchise. And I think that's something because, again, let's talk about this. You wonder how low they can go? Well, they're 15 under 500. You want to look at the standings? Don't, because it doesn't matter. If you can't win home games, you're the St. Louis Cardinals. I think we all put up, the reality is it's tougher to win on the road. And the Cardinals have had some really good seasons when their road record wasn't all that hot. It was a winning record, but wasn't great. Last year was like that. But you want to talk about catching the Pirates and the Brewers and the Reds and the Cubs? Heck, coming into today, the Reds led the Cardinals by 6 games. The Cubs were 3 up. How can you even talk about catching anybody when you can't win at home? That's supposed to be your safe space. That's supposed to be your happy place. That's supposed to be where you're confident. They're crashing and burning at home in a way that I haven't seen since I've been writing about this and talking about this team. Not even close.
I'm there with you. I'll just add a little bit to this. Instead of worrying about what everybody's doing in the Central Division, you better start watching what the Oakland A's are doing every night, because if they're catching you, you got a serious embarrassment. I mean, gee whiz, it's one thing after another. Good grief. Wow. I know a lot of people are texting in. And I'll just say a lot of texts, and then we got a lot, and I know you.
Yeah, go for it.
It's just, and a lot of them are, and I'll just paraphrase, always got to go. That's what a lot of this is. And I know we've had this conversation, but I don't know how many.
All right.
I don't know how many times you get that pass on this one, though.
I want people to vent their feelings. If that's what they want, and the frustration's boiling over, then they should say what they think needs to be done. I'm not going to belittle anybody. I'm just not. Listen. My position is on this. Mm-hmm. I still firmly believe that Marmol is safe. I firmly believe that because he's Mo's guy. And Mo doesn't want to fail again in selecting a manager. It would be the 4th one since the All-Star break in 2018 if he changes managers. However, let me say this. Last season, you saw the Philadelphia Phillies fire Joe Girardi, who, by the way, is a very overrated manager. I can't believe Cardinals fans, I've seen this. Oh, they got to go get Joe Girardi. I don't want Joe Girardi. He won a World Series with the Yankees, because they're spending $5 billion a year, okay? They fired him. The Phillies fired him. But anyway, I'm getting off point. The Philadelphia Phillies changed managers. They had much more talent than their record indicated. And that team, after stumbling around, first of all, they had an immediate response to the managerial change. They went on a pretty good roll. They got hurt some more, and they were scuffling for a while, and then they ignited when they had to ignite. And so that's an example. Listen, there's many more examples of when a managerial change doesn't work. But my point is, if this goes on and on and on and on, and more no-shows are evident, and the Cardinals descend further into this point where they're now a laughingstock in the major leagues, and they have soiled their own tradition, at some point, even though I don't think it'll be happen, at some point, you got to say enough's enough. Now, many people listening to us will say, well, they're at that point now. Listen, in terms of the horrendous baseball, I don't disagree, but I still will not believe that Mozeliak right now is anywhere close to firing the manager. Maybe later on he will be, but I don't think it's now. And, I mean, that's all I have to say.
Yeah.
You can get mad at me because I don't agree with you. I don't disagree, but the point is I'm just still going to say I don't think that's going to happen. I'm pretty sure it won't. Not now. But if this garbage continues to pile up, you got to do something. You know what? And firing a pitching coach or a batting coach, that ain't going to do it. You know, it's got to be something major. We know DeWitt ain't going to fire Mo midstream, right?
Yeah.
And so it comes down to throwing the manager over the side. And I don't think right now DeWitt or Mo are anywhere near prepared to do that. So that's how I think, and I'm just being pragmatic. Not that whether he deserves to be fired or not, but whether it'll happen or not. You know, and I don't think it'll happen. Deserved? Well, patience is running thin.
One texter asked this question. I'll forward it on, and this is interesting to look at it this way. He asked, if this was year 3 of our Marmol instead of 2, would you think he'd be gone at this point?
That's a great question. I love that question. Yes, I think well, I can't say 100%, but if it was the 3rd year and they were, following what is going to be an obviously disappointing 2023 season, then you go into the 3rd year and they're still, and who knows what the offseason will bring, but they're still not playing good baseball and they're still scuffling and they're still losing. Yeah, I think it's much more palatable for Mozeliak to do that. But I saw it in 2018. When the fans do have a voice in this, and the whole atmosphere around the club was poisoned. It was turning the poisoning was getting even more harmful. The fans were very, very unhappy, and and a key part of that was Mike Matheny. In the days before he was fired, the Cardinals embarrassed themselves at home. In fact, there was a bad loss on Friday night to the Reds, and then Saturday they came out and laid down another bad loss to the Reds. And then that's when they actually decided earlier in that week. I can tell you a story out of school, and I'll make it short. I was talking with Mo on Friday morning, and keep in mind they fired Matheny the next night. And I was just telling him, because he called me to talk about some stuff, and I told him, I said, look, how much longer are you going to go on with this? I mean, the team's not motivated. The fans are really ticked off. They're not using their tickets. Look at the secondary market for selling tickets. Season ticket holders and friends of mine, like season ticket holders, they're not getting anything for Cardinals tickets because people are fed up with this team. And Mo said something cryptic, and I still to this day am mad at myself for not picking up on the hint. It was a pretty big hint. He said, off the record, we're going to, don't sit there and assume we're not making a change. And I thought, But you know what I thought? I thought, well, they're going to dump the batting coach, or they're going to do this or do that. They're not going to fire Matheny. They fired him the next night. And I think Mo was trying to, in a way, tip me off. And I was too dumb to pick up on it. Because I knew DeWitt was such a Matheny fan, and I didn't think he had reached that point, but he had.
It's interesting.
This reminds me of this, although they did put up some fight today. I don't think they've laid down. I just think they've been jolted into a state of mind where they're extremely, extremely fragile and have no confidence that they can put a game away.
Oh, what you just said reminded me of one of the things I just saw. One of the Yastrzemski home run replay.
Yeah,
he's a left-handed hitter, so they're showing it from the other side dugout. And as he swings, you can see everybody on the Cardinal dugout. The heads just went down. It was just as soon as he hit it, it was like, You've got to be kidding me. Everybody's head just went down in their hands. And
Yeah.
to your point, it's like they're defeated before they can even get out of their own way at this point. And that's just awful to watch.
Well, they have an off day. They get to go to Citi Field. I will say this, and I'm not pumping any false optimism your way. Not at all. But this is just a side note. I'm laughing because actually this Cardinals-Mets series is going to be entertaining, but not in the way you think in a traditional basis. Because the Mets are awful.
Yes.
Everything's falling apart. So you're going to have two teams who are expected to do really, really well. They can't get out of their own way. They just keep blowing up day after day after day. So in a strange way, it'll be a fascinating series. Can either one of these teams actually pull it off and win 2 of 3 or even 3 out of 3? Anyway, that's just a side note. Go ahead. If there's you have any more text messages?
We
can take
one,
a break here in a couple minutes.
I got one specific to today's game. The question is asked, why, and it's a couple of different people, why pitch to Yastrzemski knowing his success against the Cardinals? Why not walk him and take another chance with somebody else?
You know what? I'm glad that's a great question because I was going to bring that up. Now, I don't have the stats in front of me. I will look them up for later. But I'm watching the replays just now here in the home office, the Friendly Sports Bar and Grill home office. And, and by the way, I don't want this to be misconstrued. I am not criticizing the broadcasters. But how many times the last 3 days have we heard Cardinals killer Mike Yastrzemski? And BT saying it and, Chip saying it. And they're right because I know he's got great numbers about the Cardinals. But even the broadcasters are just saying it over and over and over again. In a way, it reminds me of Matheny in the World Series in 2013. He just kept pitching to David Ortiz.
Oh.
I mean,
that's a painful memory.
I mean, he just kept pitching to David Ortiz, and everybody. It's like, what? Me and Rick Hummel and Joe Strauss, Derek Gould, we had people out, writers from all these other cities coming up to us in the press box saying, what is this guy doing? David Ortiz is killing the Cardinals. He's winning this thing by himself. When is this lunkhead going to pitch around them or intentionally walk them? And when he started to do that, it was too late. The Cardinals were already in a bad shape in that series. You don't wait until the 6th game to start doing it. This brings back memories of that. And I ain't saying Yaz, the grandson, I'm not saying he's the caliber of David Ortiz, but if your pitchers can't get a guy out and he pounds you time after time after time because he's really, really smart and he takes great at bats and he clearly is confident against St. Louis pitching, they got something figured out over there. Don't take the chance. Did Marmol not learn anything from, he was on Matheny's staff a while, not in 2013. Did he not learn anything from examples like that? I agree with those of the people that are bringing that up. Now, that said, because there's always a that said part, you got him down you got him in a 2-strike count. Yeah, I don't care if it's Babe Ruth. Well, maybe not Babe Ruth. Probably would still not give him anything to hit, but you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
It's just another 2-strike failure, and that's inexcusable, even if the manager's not fully alert to the danger of Mike Yastrzemski, right?
Yes. Painful. Heard a lot of boos today at the game, Bernie.
Oh, yeah. That's no surprise, right?
Yeah.
Let me look this up, and I can play that Jeopardy music sometime when I do this. Let me
get that on file.
I know. Let me see 2023 against the Cardinals, and this does not include today, but they did have that series earlier this year out there, and so this does not include today, but coming into today. In 5 games against the Cardinals before today, and we know how that turned out. He was hitting 400. He had a 471 on base percentage. He was batting. He was slugging .933, and he had a OPS over 1,400. Coming into today, he had already had 2 home runs and 2 doubles. 2 home runs and 2 doubles against the Cardinals this year. 400 with a 1.404 OPS. So that's your answer for this year. And those numbers are bigger after today.
Right.
No need to pitch around him a little bit, right?
One guy that might beat you. No, we're good. We'll challenge him. Gotcha.
I think, again, we're going to be circling back to stuff. But listen, I still think, sometimes you lose a game, or you put yourself in position to lose a game you shouldn't lose. And that happens before you get to the actual moment where the Giants tied the game. And I'm going to keep going back and back and back. And I've got my TV on. And I know in closed caption I saw Marmol refer to the fact, hey, we didn't tack on. We didn't add on. I still think, if you had to ask me the number one reason why they blew this game, the ninth inning is an obvious thing you would go to. And by the way, I don't disagree with anybody who would say, no, that's why they lost. They couldn't close it out. Okay, that's fine. But when you have momentum on your side and you've taken great at-bats and you knock their starting pitcher out after scoring 5 runs in 3 innings and you got a 5-2 lead, and Busch Stadium's people are jumping up and down. They're happy. The Tommy Edman grand slam just got everyone gone. The Cardinals, their fans, the ballpark had energy. And you get 2 hits and 2 walks, I think it was 2 walks, against their bullpen over the final 7 innings? Are you kidding me? You're setting yourself up to get stung at the end, right?
Yes. It is painful. Ooh. We should get to a break.
I know. We will.
Oh, we got to tell who's on the show. We haven't done that yet either.
Well, we got one guest.
Yes.
We have Dan Zimborski, our friend, senior writer from Fangraphs. And we will listen to plenty of Cardinal sound. And other than that, you're going to be stuck with me hollering for the next, 2 hours and 40 minutes roughly. Keep it right here, though, and stream us as always. If you need to stream us, want to, at 590thefan.com, 590thefan app. You can download the podcast of the show later. But Dave Solomon's at the ballpark. He'll be feeding some audio from post-game comments to us. I just saw him about 3 minutes ago. Standing there, he always gets in the TV shot.
He does.
Always.
He does.
And he's always got that KFNS mic flag in there.
That's a specialty.
Like he's like Ichiro when it comes to that kind of thing, right?
I like that. Yeah.
You just can't shut him down.